next up, we have the predictions session, sponsored by Evolution, and we've brought the famous trio back together. So I want to welcome on the stage moderator Todd Househalter, CPO at Evolution. Welcome, Todd.
Welcome to the predictions panel. The panel where people come to figure out which stocks they're going to buy tomorrow. It's actually served in that capacity quite well. People have come to this panel looking for tips for tomorrow, and we've seen it. In the past, if you had followed the advice of the gents that I'm going to be bringing out in a second, you would have made a lot of money. They told you to buy Ethereum 150% ago. They told you to buy Evolution before it nearly doubled. And they've had a lot of great picks. We're going to go deep into it today. These guys are putting their own capital at risk. This is not theoretical. They're making big bets with big money. So they make a religion out of figuring out what is going to happen tomorrow. Today, I have the easy job. I'm just going to be asking the questions, and we're going to try to understand where is the industry going tomorrow. Please welcome on stage the general partner of YOLO Group, Tim Heath, and the managing partner of Happy Hour, Robin Reed. Hey, welcome. Well, here we are again, guys. Year 3. We've been at it a few years. As I said, you've made some spectacular predictions. How do you feel about the predictions you've been making?
What's the share price of Light & Wonder, Robin?
At the moment, about 100, no?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, Robin said that Evolution would be buying Light & Wonder, and that day, the stock, when the markets opened in America, the stock flew, I think, 5%, which was a few $100 million of market cap. So that's what they're referencing.
Look, I think it's good to take a step back. Often in work, we're very focused on what's happening today, tomorrow, next week, the quarter, and actually try and work out where we're going to be in 1 year's time. And they're not always going to be right, but it's good to understand what is working, what isn't working, and how the mindset of the customer is changing, and what we as operators, affiliates, marketing service companies, game providers, what we need to do and understand the trends of where it is and try and take a piece of that as it moves forward.
You know, Todd, you sent me a Google Doc the other day, and for those of you who don't know, I might be giving it away now, but Todd is a big believer in predictions. He makes his own predictions and he sends it around to a few friends and acquaintances. And you said something really important, I think, which was you do this because it keeps you accountable. And I think that's the beauty of predictions. By forcing ourselves to think about it and by making them, we are keeping ourselves accountable. And nobody's ever going to be right, but it's important to think about it. It's important to try. I think we've been pretty good so far. We missed on some and we hit on more, and it's been fun.
Yeah, it's terrifying to make predictions because there's a record of it. This is going to live on YouTube forever, and oh, you missed on that one, and they don't mention the winners.
Maybe we need to set odds on the
predictions. It takes guts. Yeah, exactly.
We need to set a book on it. That might be very more interesting.
Yeah, and it's easy to make soft predictions that are like kind of already happening too. Why don't we kick it off? Any big, bold predictions for the year ahead?
My prediction, and I can't really predict it, but my question is, where does sweepstakes go in America? Because it seems you've had VGW in there for such a long time, making a huge amount of money. For the last 10 years, and some people discovered it, some other brands have come in there, and now it's like this mass adoption of it's the easiest market in the world to do. I'm a bit worried that it's going to increase the cost per acquisition through more competition. It's not the best business model in the world that you've got the free tokens, which is taking up space and data and whatnot, on how to do that. And where will the people get new market share there as well? So can it bring a spotlight onto the sweepstakes market, and will it force regulators to clamp down on it as well? And will many people be sort of caught with their pants down trying to enter this market? So my prediction is pants may be going down.
Mine might be related to the US as well, but it's not really a prediction, but it's more a read on the market. I think DraftKings will pull ahead in the in the competition with FanDuel. I think they are turning out to be the more agile company. I think they're more risk-taking. I think they're more innovative. And while 2-3 years ago I would have put my money on FanDuel, now I would have put my money on DraftKings. And yeah, that might be something many people disagree to. FanDuel seems to have been sort of the pick of most people over the last few years. But I really think something is starting to happen with DraftKings, and we better pay attention.
Why?
Look, I touched a bit upon it. I think FanDuel, by all means, a fantastic company, or let's call it Flutter and not FanDuel. But I mean, you're ultimately going to steward a whole range of businesses across a whole range of territories. And, you know, you have the poker in there, you have the sports betting in there, you have, you know, there is so much to look after. And it just seems like it's becoming a little bit less innovative. While DraftKings, on the other hand, they're making moves. They're daring to take a chance. You know, if NFTs, you know, is the rage, then they open an NFT marketplace. Rumors is out that they might be acquiring Simplebet at the moment and going into micro betting. I mean, it just seems to me that there is a little bit more edge to DraftKings at the moment.
But where's Bet365 then? Because that's my tip on the American market, doubling their market share.
Yeah. Look, I think they're going to be a late bloomer, as we call it in football. I think they will come into the marketplace and they will grind it out slowly and they will just get better and better and they will definitely play a role in the future.
So right now, the market leaders in America are FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM. Is Bet365 your pick for the fourth horseman? And would they be in the top 3, top 2? Who would be both of your...
I would say Bet365 could sneak up to be in a bronze medal place within the next 12 months.
Wow.
Slowly, carefully, let all the early tsunami of money come in there. People to exit, they're just going to gradually grow step by step. The waterfall starts with a raindrop.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. And
let's buy shares in Bet365. No, you can't.
There we go. So then you've got the sweepstakes space in America. It's really big. Why haven't we seen DraftKings, FanDuel, MGM, like any of the mega players from online gaming go into that space?
Because if you need to have 15 legal opinions to justify your existence and do 7994 payment processing, it's not illegal, if that makes sense. And I think DraftKings want to be fully legal to justify their valuation. They can't have a share price which can be tainted by some questionable activity. For an incumbent, you can go in there relatively easily and quickly, take market share, make your $1 million a month, and all good. I think it's too small for DraftKings or too dodgy, I don't know.
You know, it's called social casino with sweepstake promotions. Technically, that's the term, and that's what it legally is. And perhaps it is flying a little bit too close to the sun in terms of connecting it with one of the leading gambling companies at the moment. But whether the space will change, if you look at it right now, it resembles very traditional RNG casino. In fact, we talked about it last year here on the stage and predicted that it would be one of the trends that many people in the room would go into the space over the coming 12 months, and many of you did. Now, you're obviously trying to copy what has worked in Europe and what has worked in RNG casino for a very long time, and using a loophole in the regulation to sustain the business. But if it is going to be long-term sustainable, it needs to change. And it needs to have a lot more proposition than the very sweep coins itself and gambling on slot machines with them. So I think before the likes of DraftKings would consider an acquisition in the space, I think we need to change the product experience from what it is today. And that might happen if it's going to be sustainable. I think it has to happen.
Yeah, I think sweepstakes has been around for about a decade now. And I never used to hear about it. And now, in the last 6-7 months, I'm hearing about it every single day. It is clearly the hot thing. Speaking of the hot thing, when you sort of look across the horizon line, you say, what are the hot trends right now in gaming? What do you see as the hot thing in the year or so ahead?
I like the gradual shift from a website to bringing the gaming experience inside of a social community. Obviously, we've talked about Telegram casinos last year, which have done pretty well, and there's a lot of new market entrants into that space. But I think there's opportunities into Line, into Discord, into, again, communities where the gambling is the secondary point of activity. The first point is the social element of what's going on, and we're bringing, it's like embedding an open payment link on Amazon.com. You're bringing the bank to the shopping cart. We've got to bring the gambling to the community in that sense.
I completely agree. And if you look at internet, it used to be a catalog. You went to Google, you searched for something, and you found Amazon. Yeah, like it was quite boring, to be honest. Internet has been quite boring throughout the years. It's been more fun over the last few years. Now it's more an experience. How do you pronounce it, Todd? You need to help me with your perfect American. Experiential thing. Now, you're right in the video stream. You're right in the moment where it happens. You're right in the chat, right in the community. It's real time. And I think we need to move. Look at where we are at with slots. It's a call to action to the industry, guys. It's a bit boring. We have HTML files that you need to download to your local device. It takes, 6 to 10 seconds. You sit there in solitude and you play. There's, I don't know how many slots, a few thousand released, while the internet is going towards real-time experiences. You have the likes of X and Twitter, former Twitter making sort of the WeChat of the West, and it's just going to turn more and more into like a community-based ecosystem of everything real-time, and we can't lag behind in the gambling industry. So I really hope to see those trends maturing. More real-time.
Perhaps in this regard, it's actually the $1 million I want to invest in something at the end question, but how do we bring the gambling experience to the streamer's environment? No. People are watching the streamers the whole time, and then there's a very loose and intangible call to action across to a casino for tracking. Doesn't work very well. How do we put the gambling on the streams? And if someone can solve that, I think there's a big pot of gold there.
The content has to be streamed. And someone has to start working on that. I mean, Evolution is already doing it with their game shows, and you acquired live spins. It is video streaming slots and allowing people to bet behind it. But the content in itself needs to be streamed. Changing the media type allows a whole different interaction with it. And whoever is out there producing slots, try to make some slots that you stream instead of allowing people to download them from a server. And I think that would be a very interesting proposition.
So can you help predict, like, what does that mean at the player level? So like today I want to play, I'll go onto somethingcasino.com, and I log in, and I enter, and I can click on live casino, and I can go play, or I can click on slots, and I kind of do that. What would it look like at the player level when you talk about this?
You need to remove the cashier from the casino experience. There should be no monetary processing on the casino. Otherwise, half the job becomes going to the cage in a land-based environment. How do we remove that and put the money somewhere else in a financial wallet which is not connected to a Curacao license? And how do we do an open payment channel so the money can go in, out as much as you want in a closed-loop fashion, but do your payment processing over here, do your authentication, one-click login, not username, password with upper characters, lower characters, symbols, you forget. Make the experience simple. If we can make those two things seamless, then we all can focus on how do we entertain the customer on this end product.
So like one click to play.
One click to play.
Yeah.
And I mean, how do we kill the operator? So I'm speaking against myself because I'm invested into a few operators, right? But we need to kill the operator. And by what I mean is, why should you go to a website, the www.gamblingoperator.com, and create an account and register a Visa card and go for a KYC process and all of that? I mean, that's not really how things work anymore, is it? And in every other vertical, when Apple opened their sort of their app marketplace to third-hand party, we really started thinking about, how can we kill the operator doing this? We didn't solve it yet, so that's I think another one for people out there to solve. How can you kill the operator? I think Tim and the guys are working on it.
We're working on it, yes.
With Whale and other products, but it's a big opportunity.
But it's also how do you give, if we've got the gaming infrastructure, we've got the games for an aggregator, we've got the payments from somewhere, how do we give that to a single streamer for 5 players? How do we make everybody in the world their own casino should they wish to be? The affiliates have a more active role that they can play. They can become their own operators. So if the influencer is bringing traffic in, put the casino on that page or that streaming device. You should have 1,000 people running it, but it should be super simple. Wix.com or whatever, just one click, there's my casino, all set up. They earn their 40, 50% rev share from the infrastructure side of things, but then there's no tracking issues. Remember, there's no cookies anymore on Google or Safari. Now that's been changed out. So let people come to a domain or to a channel where they can gamble, and we, the picks and shovels guys, come and help do all the work behind the scenes.
So a couple of years ago, I asked, when we look back on this moment in time, how will we view where we are in the gaming industry today? And Tim, you said that we were 2 years ago, you'd said this is the era where Twitch is sort of taking over an industry. How do you feel about that now? And then how would you define this moment in time? And how do you think we'll look back on the moments that we're living through today?
So I think Twitch had a lot of pressure especially with they banned, I think, 5 or 6 different casinos to go elsewhere, and that was the advent of Kick.com, obviously. So it's a very fragmented place, but as I found out last night, YouTube is still massive for streamers doing their ones as well. So I think it's still a fragmented marketplace that no one's really cracked gambling streaming in a place that all participants can freedom of expression, if I can call it that, and freedom of choice to a customer. So I don't think we're quite there yet where that needs to be. Where we are right now, it's almost a decentralization of the gaming operator, and it's being taken apart piece by piece and letting anyone pick and choose what they want to do to satisfy their 5-player casino or their 50,000-player casino. It shouldn't matter. Things should be decentralised, non-custodial. I'm not talking game results in RNG because that's a more difficult one, but the building blocks must be decentralised that you can pick and choose whatever you want. Doesn't matter who you are.
Look at what a gambling operator is these days. So in a regulated market, you might do Apple sign-on for authentication and deposits. So sort of that job is taken out from the operator. They might use, I don't know, HooYu for KYC, so that job is taken out of the operator. They're using Evolution for live casino, or they're using, I don't know, Pragmatic Play for slots. List goes on and on. What's left of the role of the operator is just simply connecting.
Compliance.
Compliance, exactly. Compliance and regulations and, some CRM campaigns and which they're running through Optimove.
Treasury management is one thing which is still on the operator's side, to be able to pay out your players when they win.
Yeah, true. I mean, there is still a role for them.
Yep.
I'm just saying that if you go back 20 years, the responsibility matrix was a lot more on the operator. And then the goal was to produce your own in-house games, your exclusive rights, and sort of become the game provider and therefore stand out. I don't know, it seems like you're saying it's being picked apart. And that's interesting.
You mentioned some mega companies there. What is the role for Apple, Google, Meta, Netflix, Disney? Do they play a role in the industry? Not necessarily next year, but by the end of the decade, where do any or all of them, do any of them do anything?
I think with Apple, they could go and make their own, it could be Apple Bank, Apple credit cards as an acquirer, as an issuer, but they've decided all we need to do is put Apple Pay inside a wallet on a telephone and take 20 cents of every single transaction. We don't worry about reconciliation or settlement times, T+5, licenses, compliance. We're simply doing an agreement with every bank. If you want to use a device in 1 billion people's hands, I don't know what the number is, but 1 billion people's hands, you can do it, and we can put the credit card in there, tokenized format, and we'll charge you 20 cents per transaction. Thank you, we'll make another 500 billion this year. Simple.
And they're already monetizing the gambling industry, but they're doing it smartly for their brands. So look at Netflix, Squid Game, Light and Wonder, right? So the content and the brand is already on there. Look at Apple, we just mentioned it, and the payment infrastructure. Disney for ESPN bet licensing it to Penn. So they're already in the industry, but they're not going in with their brands. Disney's not going to become a gambling operator. Neither will Apple.
Speaking of Apple, does their entry into VR make the space relevant?
I bought that device in March. I wore it for the first time. It's really heavy. You know, if I wear it for 20, 30 minutes, I start to get tired in my eyes and it pushes down, so I need to lay it down to use it for like 2 hours. So I think they're just putting it out there so that they get some user feedback. And I think it's still a few years ahead before that form factor is very popular.
Just back on the other one about Google, I think Google are a very big part of the gaming industry, considering how much PPC goes on.
Yeah.
Their business model is to make money from advertising. They're doing that exceptionally well. Why do they need to change their business model for the gaming world? Gambling, it's actually, I think, the opportunity in the world is moving money. The gambling transactional volume satisfies the movement of money and the percentage made on moving money or exchanging money. That's where the real opportunity lies, in my view.
Sure. And Amazon is making plenty of money.
AWS,
for many of us, they're our biggest vendor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they're all infrastructure players. There's no need for them to become a licensed operator and compete with lots of people around the world when everyone uses them anyway.
Yeah. Let's have some fun. Who's going to buy who? What are give me some acquisition, either candidates or acquirers. What should we watch for?
I think the slot game buying market is a bit quieter than it was in 2023. I think there was a few more transactions in 2023, some really good ones there. I'm not sure if there's going to be any big ones coming this year, unless, Todd, you know of something we don't. I think it's very hard to sell operators these days. I'm not thinking, if we look at Flutter and what they've bought into territories in Serbia, they've bought into Georgia, they've got the Australia. They will buy in a legalised jurisdiction to complement their portfolio. I think for, let's call it Curacao casinos, there's not really anyone out there going and acquiring all those assets to bring it up into a portfolio. So I'm not sure if it's the biggest year for M&A in that regard.
Concur. And a lot of people thought that DraftKings would acquire into Europe, myself included, but perhaps that won't happen. And maybe you'll see some acquisition of some operators in Latin America. I still think there is a little bit to be done there. And maybe go 12 to 24 months from now, you will see a bit more in Africa and the likes. But I think it will be quite quiet this year.
Mm-hmm. MGM's not going to buy Entain?
I said last year that it's a marriage bound to happen. Let me widen there. I think Entain needs to go private. That seems like a very good opportunity for someone.
And what about, it was all the rage a couple of years ago, the metaverse, NFTs, blockchain, Web3. I never hear those anymore. All I hear about is AI. Are they dead? Are they dormant? What's going on there?
I think the crypto part, everyone thinks crypto is just a deposit method, and it's not. It's so much more than that, but there's so much more than that, most people don't see what's going on. So most settlements out of Asia, from a supplier or a payment settlement, is all done in crypto these days. No one's sending bank wires from Asia back into Europe. So there's more banking rails, it's railway tracks where crypto is really being used much better. I think there's still a play for tokenized KYC on an NFT with anonymous, pseudo-anonymous data here. So I've got my NFT, I put that into a casino, it can check back and get the identity of someone, like a Trustly or a Bright does as well, but it's more infrastructure play again, which is not sexy, but which you can charge 1% on every transaction.
In fact, we got a deck just like that last week. And I hear those words all the time, Todd. And I mean, silent news, but Facebook just surpassed 1 billion, I believe, in metaverse revenue in Q1.
Really?
Yeah. So they're slowly building up. They're losing a lot more money than that, but we'll see where it goes in the future. I mean, take NFTs, non-appended data, as it also used to be called before it was rebranded NFTs, has been around since the 60s as a technology. It's a security protocol that is fantastic. I think all of those things are part of the Web 3.0 and will be different buzzwords from one year to another. AI is one of the technologies that forms part of Web 3.0. I think it is all maturing towards the metaverse, and I think it was the JP Morgan that predicted a certain size of the metaverse industry in 2030. I think we're all moving towards it.
Okay, quick answer. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say quickly, we all thinking of metaverse is this sort of VR where you can walk around and buy sandboxes. This is the exploratory point in time. This is where we need to explore, we need to fail, we need to muck around and try shit out. It's not the final product. But if we don't try and do this, we won't discover what doesn't work and refine the product. So Sure, there's a lot of people who then follow buzzwords and try and raise money and do something on top of that. So the builders need to build and fail first.
So, quick answers then.
Yeah.
In the next 5 years, are most casinos all taking crypto?
Yes.
Yes.
Land-based included.
Land-based included, wow. RTP, does it continue to move lower or does it go higher?
The only way, what do you mean higher? 98%?
As in goes from 92 to 94, 96.
I'd say it goes down because people got more and more costs they need to pay for in taxes. Brazil being the great example. You're going to run slots in Brazil at 92%. Only way to make money.
So here comes the 000 roulette.
But the likes of Stake and the others who are winning consumers are having a higher RTP and they're taking more share of wallet.
100% agree. But can everyone afford to do this?
What grows faster? What grows faster, regulated or pre-regulated markets?
Pre-regulated by a mile.
Yeah.
By a mile.
Black is back.
Grey, Robin.
What's going to be the hottest new market or the next big market to regulate?
The GCC.
What?
GCC, Middle East. The Gulf.
Naum, Saudi Arabia.
Does Twitch and streaming get more powerful or less powerful to the gaming industry?
Twitch itself or any?
Streaming.
More.
Streaming more. Watch-alongs even.
Will we see any cool innovation come to land-based?
Absolutely.
Can I preach one, Todd? Please do it. Did you see NVIDIA's humanoid robot presentation? We need to walk into a Star Wars bar where the croupiers are these robots and where they're doing game shows and all sorts of fancy stuff. That has to come to a casino somewhere. If only for marketing attraction, it would be freaking amazing.
Well, I'm very happy we're putting a lightning roulette into our casino in Estonia, and we're going to put a game show in there as well, and you are all welcome to come and check it out. You've got to bring crypto only.
Fantastic. I can't think of a better product.
Yeah.
Guys, the prediction discussions will continue for the remaining 2 days. Thanks so much. Fantastic session.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.